Okay, welcome to our Thursday night shiur. Today is the Hillula Maran Harav Ovadia Yosef, Chacham Ovadia. The Sfaradim originally used to call their rabbis Chachamim. We never call something our rabbis Rabbi or Rav or Rebbe. Why? The Talmud says, "HaChochma techaye ba'alea." Chochma will give its owner's life. Harabanut koveret ba'alea. The Rabbanut, being a Rav, buries its owners. So we like to call our rabbis to have long life. So we call them Chachamim. But of course, since we got meshed into the Ashkenazic way of life, so Chachamim turned into Rabbanim, and then it turned from Rebbe to Rav, from Rav to Rabbi. Of course, Rabbi is a reform word. No kind of thing as Rabbi. Now it's Rabbi, especially if you're in Brooklyn, right? So Chacham Ovadia says tzadikim b'mitatan kurim chayim. Tzadikim in their death are called life. They're alive. Yaakov Avinu lo met. Yaakov Avinu is not dead. The Gemara says a person should not talk while he's eating, because if he's eating, he might choke. If he talks at the same time that he's eating, he might choke. So the Gemara says, "What are you talking about? How are you going to choke? Once you stop eating, then you start talking. You're not using the same pipe at the same time." So the Gemara says, "No, it's not that you should not talk while you're eating. It's somebody else should not talk to you while you're eating." Why? Because he might tell you something that's very surprising, and he might choke. That's what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says, like what? What's surprising? If somebody tells you in the middle of your eating, Yaakov Avinu never died, that's considered something surprising, and you might choke and chas v'shalom. The Gemara says, what do you mean Yaakov Avinu never died? Tzadikim in their death are considered alive. Because when a tzaddik passes away, now I'm going to teach you guys something a little Kabbalistic. The Fiyasod. When a person passes away, hopefully the minimum you have in your neshama is something called a nefesh. By the way, I forgot to say our shiur is sponsored להצלחת ישראל בן אשר שמעונו וכל משפחתו. May Hashem bless him with הצלחה בחינוך ילדים, בהתחלות טובות וחזקות. אמן כן יהי רצון. בזכות רבינו עובדיה. So when a person passes away, his body, if he's zoche to something called a ruach, it doesn't stay in this world, no matter what. But you should know one thing: when you go to a grave, what are you praying to? What are you saying Kaddish for? Why is there a mitzvah to go to a person's grave and pray over there? Like, what's going? Why does the Jewish people have a minhag to put a covering on top of the grave, like a whole matzeva? But if you go to a goyim's grave, what do they have? Trees. They have flowers, trees, or just like a lahavdil. They have a cross over there, like a sign. But we have a matzeva. What's a matzeva? An actual slab of stone. His life, his grandfather, Today I was by a grave. If you read the whole thing on the grave over there, you have over there until his the Baal Shem Tov. 300 years. By the way, the Gemara says the person should not read what's written on a grave. But that's amen. That's only if it's sticking out, not if it's sunken in. If it's engraved inside, it doesn't make you forget. If it's sticking out, if it's bolet, and you read it, it can cause you to forget your Torah.
What does that mean? Indented writing?
If it's indented or sticking out. I don't know how to say it. There's a word for it. Almost today they do everything indented, engraved. So a tzaddik, when a person passes away, your nefesh, which is the lowest part of your soul, you have one part that comes from your father, one part that comes from your mother. The part that comes from your mother hovers on top of the matzeva all the time. The Ari HaKadosh says, from the Zohar HaKadosh, Parashat HaRemot, that your nefesh that comes mitzat ima, from your mother, which you get from your mother, always hovers on top of the grave like a matzeva. That's why, what do we put on the grave? A matzeva. And then the part that you get from your father is even more important. It always stays in the bones, and keeps it a bit. It makes sure it doesn't become totally dry. That way, when Tchiyat HaMetim comes, you'll be able to get up with that. That's what you get from your father. What you get from your mother stays on top of the grave. That's why you should know one thing. It's a very scary thing. That's why we don't suggest people to go to cemeteries. When you walk into a cemetery, you should know all the people that passed away are actually standing by their graves. That's why it's very important not to bury a tzaddik next to a rasha, or two people that hated each other, or people who don't know each other. That's why it's good to buy a burial plot. And all the family, that's why they're there. Your nefesh is there. He sees, oh, he's there. They have conversations. They speak to each other. Yeah, it's not much a thing. Shmuel's father, his name was Abba. When he passed away, he had a couple of thousands of dollars that he was supposed to give to tzedakah, and nobody knew where it was. So he went to the cemetery to ask his father where it was. So the Gemara says, how did he ask his father? He went to ask the nefesh of his father that's actually on top of the matzeva. It's pretty scary, right? That's why it's not good to go inside a cemetery. If you do, it's good to go to the mikveh before or after. For a woman, vapshe, it's not good to go to a cemetery because they have something called tumat nida. And if they go to the mikveh, it's not as bad. But if they go, it should be only for something that's needed. Understand? Goyim don't have a matzeva. They have like a sign, flowers, a tree, a cross. They don't have a matzeva, a slab of stone. And they have a nefesh behemit. It's a whole different story. It depends also what they do. They also have avodah in this world. Now a tzaddik, the Ari HaKadosh says, I'm going to teach you guys something very important. If you want your prayers to be answered, you were looking for sigulot, I'm going to give you an amazing thing right now. When you want to pray, you should know the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says there are places outside of Israel that have turned into embassies of Israel.
Embassies?
An embassy. For example, if I go to the embassy of Israel in Manhattan, and I'm an Israeli citizen, and I run away from the authorities, and I go inside the Israeli embassy, I'm what? I'm in Israel right now. They can't touch me. If I'm a Russian citizen, I run to the Russian embassy.
If you're not a citizen, you're in there.
Even if you're not a citizen, you can't touch you over there. There are embassies outside of Eretz Israel that are really part of Eretz Israel. One place, don't even get me started. One place is a mikveh. Every mikveh is an embassy of Eretz Israel. The second you step inside a mikveh, you're in Israel. It's not, I'm telling you something, this is mamash. You step inside Eretz Israel, you step inside a mikveh, you're in Israel. That's why the big tzaddikim, you see them dipping inside a mikveh 500 times. They're not dipping 500 because they do some kavanot or anything. They're praying for people under the water because they're inside Eretz Israel. I heard of a big rabbi, Shlomo Cheshin. When he used to go to the mikveh, he would never miss a day of mikveh in his life. And he used to have a list of people. He used to go to the mikveh with that list, and he used to dip in the mikveh, and he used to dive for them under the water. Not talk under the water in the mind. Another place, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says, that's an embassy of Eretz Israel, outside of Israel, is a grave, the plot of land in which the body of a tzaddik has been buried. So therefore, when you're stepping inside a grave, the place of a tzaddik, if it's in Ukraine, if it's in Uzbekistan, if it's in the United States, you're walking inside Israel right now. You're walking inside Eretz Israel. So why? Why does that work like that? The body of the tzaddik has been so purified in his life, it turns from something called klipat noga to malbush de kedusha. Now, when you come to that place and you pray, the air over there becomes purified. If one person prays there, it becomes a bit purified. Imagine hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people pray over there. What happens to that air way over there? It becomes super energized. And when you step inside over there, you're going into a mikveh made of air. That's why What do they say if you want to find Yeshuot? Where should you go to? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Why? 300,000 people visit that place just on Lag BaOmer. Do you know what that place is? It's a pool of energy. You go over there. If you had eyes to see, that place is just energized. If you would walk in there, the Rav Kaduri, I'm going to give you guys a small sigula. If we're talking already about tzaddikim or Ovadia Yosef, Rav Kaduri used to say, if you go to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and you read over there the whole Idra Rabbah and Idra Zuta, which is two parts of the Zohar HaKadosh, and then say pray for some certain thing, he said, Muftachli shetfilato lo yachzor rekam. It's a promise, it's a guarantee with me. My tefillah, his tefillah is not going to come back empty-handed. But Idra Rabbah and Idra Zuta is not two small parts. You gotta go there, and So it's not enough just to come into an energized place. You have to. Now, some tzaddikim, when they pass away, they say that in our life we prayed for something so much that even after our death, if you come to me and ask me for that thing that I prayed for, I'm telling you I'm going to work for you. You understand? That's why people go to Rav Nachum Breslev and they read the Tikkun HaKlali, because that's what's. Now, what's the Tikkun HaKlali gonna fix? Only carry. I talked to one kid today. He said, "No, for real, Tikkun HaKlali is gonna fix everything. It's Klali." I'm like, Jonah, did you ever finish the Kutei Maran in your life? No. Did you ever read the Ruksa of Natan? No. So what do you know? What you heard? I heard many things. Doesn't mean they're true. The only thing that Tikkun HaKlali fixes, let this be put on the record. If you could, cut this part out and send it to all the Breslever groups. No, I'm kidding. Don't send it to them. These guys they're going to knock me out. Alright? You got my back? You got protection. Alright. The only thing Tikkun HaKlali fixes is a seminal emission at night. At night. And you have to go to the mikveh afterwards. Correct. Thank you. And it doesn't work by itself. You have to go to the mikveh too. But to tell you the truth, he wasn't the first one to say that. Moreno Rabbeinu Rav Nachman. The Chida, Moreno Achida, Sephardic. They lived almost at the same time. He already writes in his book, in one of his fighting, he wrote over 50. I don't remember the name, so don't ask me to quote it. But I can show you in which book that I have where it is. The Chida writes that a person who had a carry, or was with his wife, if he wants to make sure all the tipot that came out of him, not that didn't go inside the right place, should not have any R.Shalom effect on him, he should go to the mikveh the next morning and say vidui. He already wrote that. And the Rambam, let's go before the Chida, the Rambam, Moreno Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the greatest Sephardic legend. He's a legend. In 59 years of age, he wrote something that they have more commentaries on the Rambam than they have on the Chumash. More commentaries on the Rambam, and most are from Ashkenazim. Believe it or not. The Rambam said, in my life, you listening, Avraham? In my life, I never missed to go to the mikveh if I had a seminal emission at night. That was what he was mishtabeach at that time. He said, I'm amazing because of that. He said, in my life, I never missed that. You know what that is? The Ariya Kadosh writes, the Chaim Vital said, I saw my Rebbe, he would never miss. If he used to be with his wife or he used to have at night, he would go to the mikveh the next morning. That's what the tzaddikim used to be mishtacheh. And today, Baruch Hashem, they used to go, you know what kind of mikvahs? Ice.
I like to go there.
You know what ice is? Ice. I-C-E, ice. Today, Baruch Hashem, mikvahs open 3 in the morning. Hot.
Too hot.
Maybe sometimes too hot. The best of the West. What's the only thing that's bothering you? Those $2 that you gotta put inside the thing. Another $2. It could go to pay the toll today. This is the test of the Ikveta de Meshicha. This is the test of Ikveta de Meshicha. So a tzaddik, when he passes away, when you go to his kever, it's not a simple thing. I remember when I wanted to pass, when I was taking my test for Nida, for family purity in the Rabbanut of Israel, the chief Rabbanut. I remember I really wanted to pass that test, and it was a very hard test. It was the hardest one that I took of all of them, and I needed to pray. I needed to pray. So I said to myself, who can I go to pray for? To pray for this thing. I was thinking. And only one name came to my head. I said, I'm going to go to the Rambam. Why? Because he was a doctor. So who better to pray for something that's a medical issue than by a doctor? And I went all the way to Tveria. I forced my father. We got a personal taxi. We went all the way to Tveria. We davened by the Rambam. First place I went to the Rambam. I said, Rambam HaKadosh, you were a doctor. You were an expert in this. Help me pass this test. Baruch Hashem, I did. Baruch Hashem. Because when you should know one thing, if you go to, now what happens if you go to the tzaddik that's already buried in Israel? You're not walking inside R.Shalom, you're walking inside Gan Eden.
What do you mean? Well, the burial site is already Israel.
He's already inside R.Shalom.
Oh, where's Rambam?
The Rambam's in R.Shalom.
In general.
In general, I'm telling you. You're walking inside a Gan Eden. Gan Eden. There was a Rav. His name was the Sadeh. Are you listening? His name was the Sadeh. Rabbi Shaul Haim Dueka Kohen. I was actually born on his same birthday as him. Huh? He was a Gaon, of course he was. Yeah, Gaon Sadeh. Yeah. He was after the Gra, actually. Yeah. So the Sadeh, he was a Kohen. A Kohen is not allowed to touch dead people. He's not allowed to go to a cemetery, a grave. But he so wanted to pray for the tzaddikim. He used to say, tzaddikim are not tameh. And he used to pray by the tzaddikim.
It's true though, no?
It's a big machlok that was going on over there. I'm not here to tell you the halachic ramifications. Now tonight, we're going to talk about a tzaddik without exaggerating, and I'm going to prove it to you. Without exaggerating, this is from what I've heard. In the past, the Geonim is about 1,200 years ago. In the past 1,200 years, a person like this has not shown up on the scene. I've heard from tzaddikim that a neshama like it, Rambam was good, but let me prove it to you. There's quality and quantity. Let me put it into perspective. There's quality and quantity. When a person is born to this world, you have a certain mission. Your mission is what decides the scenarios of your life. Your mission. Let's say you're in the army. You're gonna be a tzanhan, parachuter. So you're not gonna walk around in the field war with an AK-47 or whatever they hold over there. You're going to be with a parachute on your back, this and that. That means God puts you there for a mission. He gives you the tools needed for what? The mission. That's why we're living right now in the suburbs. And you always wish to live in a farm. All your life you want to live on a farm. You know why you're not on a farm? You want the farm. You're not going to go to the farm. You know why? It's not important to your mission. You get what I'm saying? So the scenarios on your life depends on your mission. So if your mission is to be a Talmid Chacham, is to be a big Chacham in Torah, how much you're going to try to be successful in business, you could take the world and flip it upside down. You're not going to be successful. It's not important to your mission. Hashem will always bring you back to the Beit Midrash. Now, the fact that you're going to open the book and learn, or Baltai over there, that's your test. But the scenario has been chosen. Based on what? Your mission. So how do you know what's your mission? Two things you need. This is already a shiur on its own, but what you're talking about, I'm going to give you guys on the Hillula what he said. 2 big atomic bombs. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Alright? We're together here? Good. American history. Yeah. You're following me. 2 things you should know is what's your tikkun. If you have a crazy desire to do something, and number 2, from Shamayim you see that they're pushing you towards it. They're helping you. It's called Siyata D'Shamayim. If you have a big desire to live on the farm, but you can't get to the farm, it's not your tikkun. But if you have a big desire, for example, do a mitzvah Peter Chamor, to buy that donkey. Get that donkey. It should give birth to a firstborn male donkey and do the mitzvah. And you see from Shamayim, they're giving you siyata d'shmaya. That's your tikkun. But if you see you want to do something and it's not working out, it's not your tikkun. What are you fighting for?
What about a desire?
The desire, you know why your desire is there? That comes from a part of your neshama called klipat noga. That klipa wants a lot of stuff. That klipa wants to go to the beach, sip all day pina colada, have people. You know, I asked one kid in my class. I was talking to the kids in my class about Gan Eden, Gehinom. So we're talking to him. I'm like, I'm interested to know what is 16, 17-year-olds view Gan Eden as? And believe, you know what they believe? What they believe Gan Eden is? They're on a beach, sitting. There's 4 women surrounding them. One of them is giving them a foot rub. One of them is feeding them grapes. One of them is cleaning. This was their answer. One of them is cleaning it, and he's watching Avengers on the thing. All right. You see what I'm talking about? Do you see that? That's what they're. I said, you already living in Gan Eden then. What are you doing for then? You already living in Gan Eden. You're just missing the foot rub and the grapes. We can get you that. Gan Eden is something else. Gehinom is something else. It's not what we think it is. But, once again, your life scenarios depend on your mission in life. And the way you know if you succeeded in life, I'm going to tell you a Zohar Kadosh right now that I haven't revealed before. Because it's not for me to reveal. Is how many people come to your levaya. The more people come, it's a sign that you were able to be mivarer, to select more of the nitzotzin, the sparks.
A lot of people come.
A lot of tzaddikim had almost nobody sometimes,
So when a person they stopped counting at 850,000. Close to 1 million people in his levaya. What does that mean? Something was going on over here. And I remember hearing in the name Rav Ben Zion Mutzafi. I remember hearing this. It was on his 30 days of Ovadia Yosef, Chacham Ovadia. That Rav Ben Zion Mutzafi, Sheibadel Chaim Tovim. Amen. He said that he heard that Chacham Ovadia was Mashiach ben Yosef.
Wow.
That's what he said. I heard this from his mouth. I'm not lying to you, and I'm sure if you go on YouTube and type in Rav Ben Zion Mutzafi, Mashiach ben Yosef, this is going to pop out, the part of his shiur. It was in Cholon. Even more, I'm going to tell you where he gave the shiur. He said that he knows that Chacham Ovadia was Nishmat Mashiach ben Yosef. That means we were living in a time with a tzaddik who was, he had a neshama klalit, a general neshama. He was, you know how he got that? There was many Gaonim in his time. Many. They once say a story of Ovadia. When he came back from Egypt, he was chief rabbi of Egypt for like 4 years. Over there, he almost got killed a couple of times because he was trying to fix the kashrut over there. And one guy over there who was expert shochet in halacha, but he didn't keep one mitzvah. Mechalel Shabbat is that he took out a gun to Chacham Ovadia. It was in Egypt. Took out a gun to him. Some people hold a gun like this, some like this, some like this. Depends which TV shows you watch. So he went like this. Yeah. So he went like this to Chacham Ovadia, and he said, if you're gonna mess with my ta'udah, with my certification, I'm gonna blow your brains on the wall. You know what Chacham Ovadia said? You think he was afraid? He never worked out a day in his life. He said, your nonsense you could take to somebody else. You want to blow. See what you got. He took down his gun like this. And then he hired 2 Muslim people to take hot boiling oil to spill it on Rav Ovadia while he was going to Mincha. This was in Egypt when he was around. You know how old he was? He was 29 years old. He was chief rabbi of Egypt. He was 29 years old. He was walking to the Mincha, and he hired the shochet. He hired two people to spill hot boiling oil on him, two Muslims. That day Hashem made a miracle. What's a miracle? What? Something natural. No, don't go too far. Be careful, turn into water. He was learning so much that day, he forgot that it was Mincha. He never missed a day of Mincha of his life. Oh, he forgot that it was Mincha. By the time he remembered it was Mincha, he said they already finished the minyan over there. He went to a different shul. They thought a different rabbi was passing. They thought it was Rav Ovadia. His name was Rav Aharon Gabbai. They took and he spilled it on him, and Hashem made a very big chesed to him. They only burnt a bit of his clothes and a little bit of his neck.
That's like a miracle.
It's a miracle within a miracle. It's a miracle within a miracle. And this shochet, when Rav Ovadia moved back to Eretz Yisrael, this shochet went after him. He was Jewish. Mitzri. And he applied to the Rabbanut. He said, I want to work in Israel as a shochet. They tested him. The guy was a super expert in the halachot. Always remember, guys, one thing. Just because you know halachot doesn't mean you have yirat shamayim. Hakol bidei shamayim, chutz mi yirat shamayim. Reshit chokhmah, yirat Hashem. So he applied for the test. Suddenly, Rav Ovadia was in the Beit Din at that time. Suddenly, he sees who's applying for the thing. His old assassin. He's coming back after him to kill. It's a true story, guys. Many people don't know this story. He knew him. Of course, he knew him.
He knew that he was trying to assassinate.
Of course. He had to have a policeman walk with him all the time. People tried to kill him because he was trying to serve them kosher meat. Kosher.
VH.
Delete that part of the video. I'm kidding. So what happened was, he said to them, he wasn't afraid of Ovadia. You know, like some people are. I'm not gonna say rabbi. Some people are political. You know, okay, no, we gotta be a little lievizila. You know what I'm talking about? He didn't say that. He said, close this guy's te'udah, knock him out. The guy came to him in Eretz Yisrael. He tried to kill him again.
Second time.
Yes, in Eretz Yisrael.
You don't want
At the end, they had to have two bodyguards following Rav Ovadia wherever he went. You guys don't know this story. He was a young man at that time. He was in his early 30s. He had to have two bodyguards following wherever he went because the people tried to kill him. And then what happened to this guy? He started to work smuggling drugs in the border with Lebanon. One day he got into a fight with two Eritreans from Sudan. He was Africans. They didn't care. They took out a gun, 2 shots to the head. They killed the guy.
Wait, you're supposed to feel happy or sad?
In this case, we're supposed to feel happy. Ba'avod risha'im reina. Ba'avod risha'im reina. He tried to kill a chacham, a tzaddik. The guy was doing shechita, driving on Shabbat without the kippah, without nitat yadayim, mechalel Shabbat paresia. Dino kego, you know the halacha is if a person's mechalel Shabbat paresia, you don't have a mitzvah to give him tochecha. Paresia means in public. He doesn't care. He drives on Shabbat, this, that, he doesn't care. You don't even have a mitzvah to give him rebuke. You know why? Dino kigoi lekol davar.
Goyim, you don't have to give rebuke?
We don't have to give rebuke to goyim, only sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach. Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach, he gives it. Don't worry about that. He probably keeps that already. This was Rabbeinu Ovadia. And you think he had an easy life, guys? When he was 32 years old, he came out with his first book, Hazon Ovadia and Pesach. He Rasham Sefer, but it wasn't public yet. This was the Hazon Ovadia and Pesach was his first book that came out public. When the Ashkenazim read his book, they saw one halacha over there. What was the halacha? The halacha is on the first night of Pesach, you have to eat a kazait of matzah. The halacha says in one shot. What does that mean? That you have to take it and actually stuff a kazait of matzah in your mouth and try to chew it and swallow at the same time? You could choke. People used to do that. Rabbi says, what are you talking about? One shot means it took achilat parsa. 4 to 7 minutes. What's the problem? You think you think it's okay, whatever. No, 4 to 7 minutes. Swallow. What's the difference? The rabbis in Yerushalayim almost excommunicated him. That Pesach was the worst Pesach of his life. he got so sick because the people were going against him in Yerushalayim that he barely ate the kazait of matzah the first night. Just for writing a halacha, Rabotai. Kachi darka shel Torah. It's not easy being a big chacham. The neshama klalit, of course. We're a small fry, don't worry. We can write books from today till tomorrow, nobody's going to care. So he said, that night, that Pesach, he was 32 years old. He was trying to eat the kazait of matzah. He couldn't get it down his throat. I'm not even telling you stories of Ovadia. I can tell you a million miracle stories about him. One time, they say a story with Ovadia, Chacham Ovadia. A woman came to him, couldn't have kids for many years. He blessed her and he gave her a piece of paper. He said, don't open this paper until you give birth.
Wow.
The Rav said that. He said it. She got pregnant. Bracha Tzadik, Hocus Pocus, Abera Kida Abera, and she was pregnant with triplets. Triplets, and she called them names. Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. She opened up the paper. It said, "V'yikareh shemam v'Yisrael, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov." That's the Hocus Pocus. Chas v'shalom. We're mitaken the Hocus Pocus of the October 31st. Could you release it? This was Chacham Ovadia. But I'm not going to tell you the miracles. I don't want to tell you guys miracles. You should know. When Rabbeinu Ovadia, Yosef, he was a young boy, his father wanted him to be a businessman. He wanted him to be like every other kid. It was a bad time in Israel. It was a tough time. People were not were barely making ends meet. His father opened up a grocery, makolet. In America, Bukharians work as jewelry. In Israel, every Bukhari you meet over there has a grocery store, makolet. Am I right or wrong? True. You see what I'm talking about? Makolet. You go to Tel Aviv, forget about it. Every makolet is a Bukharian guy over there. Makolet. A lot of Bukharis, yeah. They just changed their last name. Yeah. To change their last name, we'll get the makolet. So his father had a small makolet. But before that, he had a couple of sons. Now, Ovadia's his name was Ovadia Yosef, right? So you think Yosef is his last name? It's not true. His real last name is Ovadia. So his name was Ovadia Yosef Ovadia. Yes, that's his real name, Ovadia Yosef Ovadia. He was born on the 12th of Tishrei, 2 days after Yom Kippur. His Brit Milah, I believe, was right before Simchat Torah. I think it was on the day of Yosef HaTzadik. The day of Yosef HaTzadik. Yes. And his father called him Ovadia Yosef. Why Ovadia Yosef? Believe it or not, it's so crazy. Ovadia, from Rav Abdallah Somech. Abdallah is Ovadia in Arabic. The biggest rabbi in Iraq. He was the one who made all the Iraqis religious. He was the first one to open up public school for religious Jews. He was very rich. From his own money, he opened a public school for religious Jews for free. It was called Beit Zilcha. Everyone went there for free, and giants came out of there in Iraq. So his name was Abdallah Ovadia Somech. So he called him Ovadia after him. And he called him Yosef after who? The Ben Ish Chai, Yosef Hayim. And who did Rav Ovadia always write tshuvot against in his life? To always counter the Ben Ish Chai. So his name was Ovadia Yosef Ovadia. Later on in his life, he took off the last Ovadia. Why are there two Ovadias in my name? And he made it from Ovadia Yosef Ovadia to what? Ovadia Yosef. Anyways, I have Ovadia in my name. That was his real name. When he was a young boy, he went to there was only one yeshiva for Sephardic Jews in Yerushalayim back then. It's early 1900s. Porat Yosef. Who was it made by? The Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai was the one with the whole idea. The man who opened up Porat Yosef, his name was Yosef Shalom. He was a multi-millionaire. He lived in Mumbai, India. And he wanted to open up a hospital in Jerusalem. Hospital. So the Ben Ish Chai sent him a mabrek. How you say a mabrek? Telegram. Not Telegram on the WhatsApp. Not WhatsApp on the thing. You know what I'm talking about, right? What do you call those things? Where not Morse. Telegram? Is it Telegram? Telegram. So he sent him a telegram. He said, hospital, you're not the first, and you're not the last. But the yeshiva for Sfaradim, we need a yeshiva for Sfaradim. What did he do? This was a real person who respected Torah knowledge. He dropped everything, all the hospital. On that plot of land, he built a yeshiva l'shem u'letifaret. It was called Yeshivat Porat Yosef, on the name of Yosef Hayim, the Ben Ish Chai, and Yosef Shalom, the rich guy from Mumbai. The name of the two Yosefs. And he was and over there, Ovadia Yosef was, and who was the Rosh Yeshiva? Of Ezra Atiyah. He was of Ezra Atiyah. We have to make a 2-hour shiur on him. He raised all the Sfaradim today. You see, all the Chachamim, everything are basically his students. All of them in Panama and in Argentina, everywhere you go, they're all his students. All his students. Rabbi Shaul, everyone is his students. He was the humblest guy in the world. He was Syrian, short, like this, humble like no other, like Ezra Sofer. So the young Ovadia Yosef was learning under him in the yeshiva, but his father couldn't pay tuition. Sounds familiar, this story?
Yeah.
So back then there was no tuition assistance. So his father took him out of the yeshiva and he put him to work in the makolet. But Ovadia Yosef, you see what I'm talking about? If it's your tikkun to be a Talmid Chacham, what you're gonna do, you're gonna be. If it's your tikkun to be a businessman, what you're gonna do, you're gonna be a businessman. The boy was so obsessed with Torah, obsessed. He couldn't even hold the cash register. He would just, the people would come. How much is this? Just, whatever, just put the money, Before long, it was the word around the town that there was in the makolet of Yaakov, his father's name was Yaakov Ovadia, there is a cash clerk over there that doesn't know how to count money. Suddenly, slowly by slowly, the father comes in, half of the store is empty.
Where's the money?
So he says, I made good business today. Opens up the cash register. It's empty. Pustoi. Nothing. What's going on over here? He said, Ovadia doesn't listen to his father. He's too into his farim. Ovadia doesn't listen. Shakes him. Ovadia. What? The store is empty. I left you here to watch the store. Where are the things? I don't know. So his brother said, at the end, his father said that, this kid doesn't belong in no makolet. He sent him back to the yeshiva. His brother said, his brother's name was Naim Ovadia. His brother said that he thinks that those people who stole the stuff from the store were not regular people. Those were malachim to take the stuff, to force his father to send his brother to the yeshiva. There is another version to this story. You want to say the story or what? There's another version to this story. There's another version to this story, very popular version. I read this version as a kid. My father used to buy me Torah cards as a kid. And tzaddikim pictures. In the back of Ovadia Yosef was this story. I remember as a kid. Another version of the story was the father took him to the makolet, and Rav Ezra Atiyah loved the young Ovadia very much. He was a people harif in Torah, shakdan, matmid, and one day passes, he's not. 1, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. At the end, he comes to his father's wife and says, "Why come that your son is not coming to yeshiva anymore?" He says, "Nusenu." How do we say in Sfaradi? Parnasa. We need a parnasa. Kesef, zman ze kesef. So Rav Ezra Atiyah says, time is money, say there. He leaves. The next day he comes. Who's sitting by the cash register? Rav Ezra Atiyah is sitting over there. He said to his father, listen, if he's not going to go to the yeshiva, it's chaval to waste. I already learned a lot of Torah. You might as well let the boy learn. I'm going to be your cash clerk. Let me stay. The father was so embarrassed. He said he could stay in yeshiva. Please, Chacham, go back to the yeshiva. Which story is better? I prefer the second story. You understand? It's a beautiful story.
Which story is great?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So there's two versions. See, even the Chacham that passed away, 6 years ago, there's already different versions to the story. So I want to tell you one chidush, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. It's already 11 o'clock at night. I was reading the Torah, and I was reading the Torah. I found Rav Ovadia Yosef ben Georgia inside the Torah. I found it. Yeah. Where did I find it? Parashat Miketz. What's Miketz? What Ketz means at the end. At the end of days. I was reading, when you read the Torah so many times, when you start reading so much, even if you don't concentrate, suddenly things start to, just goes to show, if you're matmid in Torah, what's going to happen to you. So I was reading the Torah, and the story when the brothers come to Yosef, and he's the viceroy of Pharaoh, and he claims that they're spies, and he invites them to his house for a meal. And he tells them, "Don't come back if you don't have Benjamin. If you don't have Benjamin, don't come back." And Yehuda tells his father, Yaakov Avinu, I guarantee you. You know what a guarantee is? Better than a warranty. I guarantee you, something goes wrong, my olam haba is on the line. Until he didn't say, Yaakov Avinu, let him go. It's a story within itself. It's phenomenal, and maybe a small intro into what I'm going to speak about in a couple of weeks. The two tribes that went into the Galut together and kept the Torah, Judah and Benjamin. Pelegesh Begiva, Yehuda and Binyamin. Beit HaMikdash was between Yehuda and Binyamin. That guarantee that he took on his brother always kept Yehuda and Binyamin together. It's amazing. It's something amazing. It's something that warrants. I mean, I'm getting chills, and I already know this. I'm just getting chills thinking about it. So it says over there, "Don't come back," and he sees his brother. Yosef sees Binyamin, and Yosef he's a king. You have to be cold, calculated. He can't hold himself. He goes to the room. He starts to cry. He comes back, it drops, and he comes out. He comes out and he makes a meal for them. He puts the older by the older, and he tells Menashe, his son, take my silver goblet, and put it in the amtahat, in the bag of Binyamin. So I'm reading the Torah one Shabbat years ago, and I'm reading it, and I see the pasuk. Let's read the pasuk. Ved givi'i, in my goblet. This goblet was the source to bring all the tribes together. Yes or no? Because if it wasn't for the goblet that he put the thing on Benjamin, then it wouldn't be the fight between Judah and Yosef. If it wasn't for the fight, Yosef wouldn't have been able to hold himself to reveal himself. And he says, "Ve'et givi, in my goblet, givi'a hakesef," the silver goblet. And I'm reading the Torah, and I say, Givi'a, Ovadia Yosef ben Georgia.
Wow. By the way,
the first letters of his name, Ovadia Yosef ben Georgia, which is his mother, is Gavi'a. It's an acronym of his name. And Rav Ovadia Yosef is the silver goblet that brings all the Yehudim together. Because from the time of the history of the Jewish people, there has never been a man that has had close to a million people in his levaya. How do you like that connection? Chidush on the day of Rav Ovadia Yosef. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen. Amen.